Hello everyone and welcome to Farm Bureau's Voices of Agriculture. This week coming to you from the state of Mississippi. On the show this time, we take you to a fundraiser dinner that was in support of the farm families of Mississippi.
And these are the families that make that happen, that make it safe, affordable, to know that you have the abundance, and we have such an abundance of where we can go get the good things that we need so our families will have the nutrition and everything else that farming provides.
We go to a lunch promotion to educate the public about the farmer's share of the cost of their lunch.
Whenever people go and pay for their own food, the farmers actually only get about 16% of that, and that's something that not a lot of people realize. So we are just creating a little bit of awareness for that, and today people are only going to pay that percentage for their lunch.
We visit a couple of Mississippi farmers who've been affected by late season flooding.
We made 148 consecutive crops, and we're going to lose this one because of this flood.
This farm been in the family over 100 years. It's tough, but we gotta come out of it, and maybe next year will be better.
And we take a look back at the most devastating hurricane to hit the Gulf Coast in recorded history.
We went to Rolling Fork Tuesday and got about 1,500 gallons of diesel, which there's diesel around town, but nobody had power, and so we couldn't pump any. So we just loaded all the tanks up on the trailer, and we were going to Monroe, and a buddy of mine in the Delta told me that we could get some from up there.
In our Meet a Farmer segment, we visit a diversified farm in South Mississippi. And of course, we'll have our Mississippi on the Menu segment with Nancy Freeman. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Great places to find Mississippi farm-grown freshness.
When most people think of agriculture, they think of food, clothing, and shelter.
I grow spark plugs, and I grow toothpaste.
I grow crayons and truck seats.
Well, I raise guitar strings and emery boards.
Advancements in technology have allowed us to develop new uses for common agricultural products, and that helps the whole economy. The farm families of Mississippi, growing the things you use every day.
The Farm Families of Mississippi public relations campaign has been on the air here in Mississippi for 6 years now. It's been extremely successful in bringing the message of agriculture to the general public. But it's an extremely expensive proposition to fund a statewide media campaign. To help with that funding, one county farm bureau in South Mississippi held a dinner with the proceeds going to the Farm Families of Mississippi. Mississippi Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Cindy Hyde-Smith, was the featured speaker at a fundraiser dinner held recently to benefit the Farm Families of Mississippi organization. This group's sole purpose is to promote the benefits of agriculture to the general public.
And it took a lot of hard work from farmers and ranchers throughout the state, but to make them realize that we do something that makes a difference. You know, you don't have to play golf every day, and you don't have to swim every day or read a book, but you have to eat every day. And these are the families that make that happen, that make it safe, affordable, to know that you have the abundance, and we have such an abundance of where we can go get the good things that we need so our families will have the nutrition and everything else that farming provides.
But agriculture year in and year out contributes 33% on average to the state's economy. That's more than any other industry in the state can say that they contribute that much in one industry. And it's a homegrown industry. We don't have to go out and give them 10-year tax exemption to come here. They're already here, added value, providing a service to our communities, and all of them are local community folks that contribute to the community, the church, the school, tax base.
The dinner was held at Tanner Farms outside of Wiggins and was organized by the Stone County Farm Bureau. The menu consisted of all Mississippi-grown products to emphasize the importance of that industry.
All Mississippi raised, the vegetables came from Eubanks, Charlie's U-Pick. The milk for the ice cream came from Country Girl Creamery. All that was hand delivered. The ladies got in the kitchen and cooked the vegetables today. The pork loin came from the butcher block, and my son and Chris Shivers were out doing the pork loin on the grill, and John Kilgore was doing the ice cream. Most people here tonight were farmers, but there were a lot of politicians here appreciating the role that agriculture does and want to make an impression, and I appreciate that. I appreciate them showing up and supporting us.
The dinner raised over $3,000 for the PR campaign. For more information on the Farm Families of Mississippi, visit growingmississippi.org. Many people today complain about the cost of food, and sometimes farmers get the blame for those high food costs. But in reality, only 16 to 17% of your food dollar goes to the farmer. The rest is comprised of packaging, shipping, handling, marketing, and other costs. To help illustrate this point, a group of young farmers in South Mississippi held a promotion at a popular lunch place and let the customers purchase lunch for only the cost that the farmer receives. Lake Serene Grocery in Hattiesburg packs the crowd in at lunch every day for their plate lunch special. But today, the customers are in for a surprise when they find out how little they're going to pay for their lunch.
Well, the farmers share, whenever people go and pay for their own food, the farmers actually only get about 16% of that, and that's something that not a lot of people realize. So we are just creating a little bit of awareness for that, and today people are only going to pay that percentage for their lunch.
After having the promotion explained to them while standing in line, the customers load up their plates and head to the cash register.
Oh, it's really fun standing behind the counter. So whenever people are usually expecting to pay $8 for their basic plate lunch here, they're only paying $1.50. So you get a lot of reactions. You know, they've seen the cameras and things and thought they were, getting pranked. But it's been really fun. They've had a really good reaction, and we've got to share a lot about agriculture with some of the people here today.
The customers were surprised that the farmer's share was so small.
I would have guessed they got more. I think you said it was $1.50 is what the farmer gets. It seems like it would be, it seems a little low, just comparative to what the people are actually producing.
The purpose of this promotion was to inform the public about how little the farmer actually gets of your food dollar.
Well, I think it's good for consumers to know, especially in a market like Mississippi, where a lot of our commerce is generated through the agricultural industry, having a lot of farmers and both the crops and poultry and cattle farmers, to be able to bring awareness to that major industry in our state. I think things like this is definitely good, bringing awareness to people that are consumers of the product, because it's definitely a commodity that we use a lot in our state. So I think, however the word can be spread, I think if people recognize that, because I think they appreciate and embrace the industry and the work that the farmers do, and so to just events like this are great to be able to spread the word for people.
With the success of this event, plans are underway to have more of these promotions across the state. Each year, the row crop and livestock farmers of this state use nearly 11 million acres of land to produce their crops that provide us with the food and fiber we use every day. It's a great lifestyle that most of them wouldn't trade for anything. But there are some hazards to being a farmer that aren't associated with other professions. Dealing with Mother Nature would have to top the list. Colin Collins has been farming full-time since 1973 when he got out of college.
We grow soybeans exclusively. We used to grow cotton and corn, but we found that we do better just growing soybeans.
This year he planted 1,457 acres of beans, and they were doing fine until Mother Nature stepped in.
We got an 8.4-inch rain on July 2nd and 3rd, and where we're standing was probably under 5 feet of water. It got over these beans and it stunted them real bad, and water stayed on them about 3 days. I'm surprised that some of them are alive. They're not going to make much, but we got a rain that washed most of the mud off, but they're still damaged a lot in the low ground.
Nearby New Albany got 12 inches of rain at the same time, and all of that water came down the Tallahatchie River and flooded all the lowlands beside it. Rains like this in the spring are a nuisance, but farmers can usually replant and still make a crop. But a rain like this late in the year, is going to cost Collins 2/3 of his crop.
This farm been in the family over 100 years, but it's tough, but we got to come out of it, and maybe next year will be better.
The one thing that's going to help save Collins is the fact that he purchased crop insurance this year. That will help take the bite out of losing more than half his crop. The same can't be said for Southwest Mississippi farmer Louis Giddon. The Giddon family farms all up and down the Mississippi River, primarily in Jefferson County. Giddon's great-great-grandfather came from France in 1861, settled on the river just north of Natchez in 1866, and started farming.
So we're now 149 years later, and we made 148 consecutive crops. And we're gonna lose this one because of this flood. Now, we settled in 1866, and in the 1920s, they built this levee system. We've been here 50 or 60 years. And when they finally completed the levee system, they built a levee on the western side of the river from, I don't know, somewhere up in Missouri or farther, all the way to the Gulf Coast. And they built one on the eastern side of the river from way up there above Memphis somewhere, all the way to Vicksburg, and they picked it up right below Natchez and took it to the Gulf Coast. So they excluded us from the levee system. We didn't get a levee.
But what really hurts Gideon and his family is that he can't get affordable crop insurance from the government.
That don't seem fair to me. We've been here 149 years. We were here before all that got here, and we're getting flooded, and they won't sell us affordable crop insurance. And they tell us the reason why they won't sell us affordable crop insurance is because we're in a high flood risk area. Well, yes, sir, we are, because your levee system works.
So Gideon and his workers are fighting this late season flood with man-made levees. They're stacking sandbags around their fields, trying to save part of their 14,000-acre crop. But even if those levees hold, he's going to lose between 3,000 and 4,000 acres of soybeans that were 3 feet tall when the floods came and got them. What many people don't realize is that all the water from the eastern slope of the Rockies to the western slope of the Appalachians that doesn't soak in or evaporate flows right down the Mississippi River, past Gideon's farm to the Gulf of Mexico. When the river comes up this late in the year, farmers not protected by the levee don't stand a chance.
I think it's 35 states and a couple of Canadian provinces that go under that bridge at Natchez, about 10 miles south here. It goes by right out there. And, you know, it was designed that way. When they built the levee system, they designed it to where between Vicksburg and Natchez, they have a floodplain here. But we were farming here 60 years before they designed that. That's my point.
We'll be back with more of Voices of Agriculture from Mississippi right after these messages. Stay with us. And welcome back to Voices of Agriculture. 2015 marks the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And while most people remember what Katrina did to New Orleans, they forget that the eye of the hurricane, and more importantly, the lethal northeast quadrant, slammed into the Mississippi Gulf Coast, wiping out homes and businesses and doing irreparable damages to many industries, including agriculture. To bring things into perspective, we wanted to show you the story we did on this show immediately following that hurricane. Agriculture contributes more than $5 billion a year to the economy of Mississippi. This industry was severely damaged when Hurricane Katrina swept over the state. One of the hardest hit industries was poultry. 75 to 80% of the houses in the state sustained at least some damage. Millions of chickens have been lost. The biggest challenge has been getting fuel to the farmers that still had birds alive.
We went to Rolling Fork Tuesday and got about 1,500 gallons of diesel, which there's diesel around town, but nobody had power, and so we couldn't pump any. So we just loaded all the tanks up on the trailer and we were going to Monroe, and a buddy of mine in the Delta told me that we could get some from up there.
The timber industry was devastated in parts of the state. Mature trees, nearly ready for harvest, took the worst hit, although younger trees were not immune to the 175-mile-an-hour winds. Mississippi's third largest commodity, cotton, fared better. Stalks were bent, and some bolls that were open sustained some damage, but overall, cotton came out better than crops like corn. Much of the corn crop was blown over, making harvest difficult. At the time Katrina hit, the crop was only 16% harvested. The corn loss could exceed $16 million. But the hardest hit row crop appears to be rice. 40 to 50% of the crop is on the ground.
As you can see right here, this was the area that was laid over by the hurricane, and when they run the header through here, they're having to run it real low to the ground just to pick up the straw and the panicles and run it through the combine. And then as you can see, when they run it that low and when it's laid over, this is what the yield loss right here is associated with. Some of these are blanks that did not fill out at grain field, but A lot of this is whole kernel rice right here laid on the ground, and it was shattering off the panicle before they could get it in the combine. So that's where the 10 to 20% yield reduction is coming from. This is not really blown out of the back of the combine. This is just from trying to pick it up and put it in the combine is where the yield loss is coming from.
According to estimates by the American Farm Bureau, damage to farm-related industries will cost more than $2 billion and will probably increase food prices at the grocery store. When tragedy strikes, the human instinct to pitch in and help is never stronger. The following story is about a group of farmers in Wyoming that knew there was a need in Mississippi following the hurricane and found a way to help.
Maurice, Herman Strand, glad to meet you. Where are you from? Casper, Wyoming.
Herman Strand is the immediate past president of the Natrona County Farm Bureau in Casper, Wyoming. When he saw the news reports of what Katrina did to the agricultural interests in Mississippi, he decided he wanted to do something. So he called the Wyoming Farm Bureau, who called the Mississippi Farm Bureau, who related that there was a huge need for fence posts and barbed wire.
Well, that particular same night that they talked, we had our county annual meeting, and we had a representative of the state president, and we had the insurance representative, and one of the county. And so we brought this up to the membership that we'd like to donate to the state of the Mississippi Federation. And of course the county put up $1,000 and the state put up $500 and the insurance company put up $500. And then the Crook County, he got a hold of his board the next morning and put up $500. Well, and I told him that night if we're going to do this, because I'm leaving the next day to go to New Orleans and help my son get his stuff out. So that was Saturday. This is Tuesday. We're just outside Jackson, Mississippi. We've made our delivery, and we're going to try to get into that city down there and haul my son home.
So on the way to New Orleans, Herman and his son Jason dropped off 400 fence posts and 27 rolls of barbed wire. The supplies were delivered to Simpson County Farm Bureau President Maurice Layton in Mendenhall.
Got a call this morning from Jack Alexander, our district man, telling us we had some posts coming from another Farm Bureau county. Found out it was Mr. Herman Strand from Wyoming. And that's just great with me, because I got fenced down, my neighbors got fenced down, and about all other Farm Bureau members I know of do have fenced down. And posts and wires are a scarce item here, Greg, and to get them means a lot of help. We've all got expense, and to think that somebody from that far off is coming in to try to help us just shows we got good people all over the country, and I really appreciate it.
Maurice said he's going to distribute the supplies to farmers who have fences down in his area. There was also a group from the Georgia Farm Bureau that saw the need that Mississippians had and stepped up to the plate to provide much-needed food and other supplies.
It's been a full day on the road representing Georgia Farm Bureau to come here, and we've done this 1 year before, this Harvest for All activity. And so what we ask every county farm bureau in the state of Georgia, and there are 159 of them to do, was to give us 2 sacks of groceries. Then the hurricane hit, and Mr. Dollar says, we can do more and we can help the farm folks in Mississippi. And that sort of lit a fire under our county farm bureau folks. We sent every county farm bureau 4 grocery sacks in what we call our courier service. And then some county farm bureaus, the Candler County Farm Bureau in southeast Georgia, they did 50 sacks of groceries when they heard that we were coming to Mississippi. This is an activity that the Georgia Young Farmer Committee wanted to do. They knew about it nationally through the American Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Rancher Committee, and so that's what they wanted to do. And we also are representing the Women's Committee, who helps us coordinate this also. We bought a huge truckload of food here. The generosity of Georgia Farm Bureau members for folks in Mississippi is just like what Mississippi would do for Georgia folks if we were in need. So we've had a great day on the road. This is a tremendous sort of deal here to really take the foods that we've collected from across the state and actually put them in the cars and put them in people's hands here in Mississippi.
We'll be right back after these messages. In our Meet a Farmer segment this time, we visit with a South Mississippi farmer who has spread himself pretty thin. Brett is a third-generation row crop farmer from Covington County.
I started farming myself when I was about 8 years ago. We usually farm about 200 acres of corn, about 600 acres of wheat, 2,000 to 3,000 acres of beans. We scattered out from here. We farm in Columbia. We go Bassfield, east of Butchie. We go pretty much about a 40-mile radius.
Brett is also the co-owner and manager of a farm store in Seminary.
I've been running the store out there for probably 10 or 12 years now, off and on. I took it on full time back when I took on farming after I got out of college, and I just loved every minute of it. We do custom applicating, fertilize, do custom spraying, sell feed, just a little general store.
Trying to manage a general store on top of row crop farming makes Brett a very busy young man.
It makes it for a hard living. I mean, you stay out there and bust it, then we come out here and bust it. There's a lot of time we don't ever get in until 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I mean, it's a hard life, but it's what I love to do.
Even though he's very busy now, Brett says he has expansion plans.
Maybe pick up a few more bean acres, you know, do a little bit more corn, a little more wheat, but land situation just done got so tight it's hard to find any to lease. A lot of people planting in pine trees, or a lot of these, with the cow prices up, a lot of people buying cows, getting in the cow business right now and taking away from the row crop.
And if that wasn't enough already, Brett got married 3 months ago. His wife, Memory, is a school teacher at Oak Grove. In our Mississippi on the Menu segment, Nancy Freeman prepares a tasty dish using fresh produce from Mississippi's farmers markets.
U-Pick Farms and farmers markets are great places to find Mississippi farm-grown freshness. You know, there's nothing better than getting it right there from your local farmer. And many of them are certified organic farmers as well. You know, our season for our farmers markets and U-Pick Farms typically runs from spring all the way through to fall. You can get many types of vegetables and fruits. Actually, they sell 43 different varieties of vegetables are grown commercially in our state. So let's take a look at something we can do with this. How about a pasta and fresh vegetable dish? Oh, it's a great thing to have. In my pan, I've got a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, some fresh garlic, and fresh carrots that I've sliced, and I've sauteed them just a little bit. To this, we're going to add some of our lovely vegetables that we find at the market. Some yellow squash, some broccoli florets. Ooh, the colors are just popping on there already. A little bit of bell pepper. Some fresh herbs, and don't forget about your farmers markets are great places to find fresh herbs. This has basil, oregano, and thyme in it. Then we're also going to add some fresh chopped tomatoes. Whoop, there it goes. And that sounds great. And a little bit of salt and pepper just to taste. We're going to let this simmer down in our pan. It's going to take about 8 minutes for that to do, and so when that's done and it's a little bit tender on the vegetables, you're going to add your cooked pasta. I've already got it a little bit al dente. We're just going to fold it in, and on top of that you sprinkle on a little bit of fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Let's take a look at our finished product. Here we've got a lovely skillet meal ready to go for your family tonight. Fresh vegetables, delicious treat. Check us out at our website at growingmississippi.org or follow us on Facebook at Farm Families of Mississippi.
We invite you to learn more about Mississippi agriculture and its importance to your daily life. Visit growingmississippi.org. That's all the time we have for this edition of Voices of Agriculture. We hope you've enjoyed the show and will be with us again next time. For all of us here at the Mississippi Farm Bureau, thanks for watching.